And marijuana, the U.S. government still classifies marijuana in the same category as LSD and heroin. And those are defined as drugs with, quote, no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. Do you think that's just not true?
That is not true. I mean,
They're not a high potential for abuse and legitimate medical reasons.
cocaine is a Schedule II substance. It has a higher potential for abuse. It is you're more likely to become addicted to it, almost twice as likely to become addicted to it. There are many substances out there, some of which are legal, that you're more likely to abuse than marijuana. It's not even close to being the truth with regard to abuse. With regard to medical applications, you saw, again, an example of that. But again, I don't want you to think this is anecdotal. That's been part of the problem with this debate is people rely on conjecture, hyperbole, and anecdotal stories. There is real science here. So Charlotte is one girl, but she represents lots of patients who have problems for which marijuana has really worked for them. So it definitely has medical applications. And let me just share with you, Anderson, this wasn't in the documentary, but the United States government, through its Department of Health and Human Services, holds a patent on marijuana as a protectant for the brain. It's something to protect the brain after head injuries.
How is that possible, that the U.S. government holds a patent?
The U.S. government holds a patent on one hand, and on the other hand, same government says it has no medical applications. So I mean, I've said this, I think I've said this to you before, but journalists, I think, are trained to hate hypocrisy. This is hypocrisy. I've never seen it quite like this.
You interviewed the director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse for the documentary. She told USA Today something. She said that if she was concerned that if the drug became universally legal, that adolescents would have more access to the drug. And that's something you hear from a lot of parents and people who work in the drug field who say it's kind of a gateway drug.
Well, first of all, I don't think it's a gateway drug. I mean, to the extent that that implies that your body somehow changes and that you now crave other drugs as a result of trying marijuana, I don't think that's true. I mean, the science doesn't back that up. People who get marijuana illicitly are often coming in contact in situations where they're then exposed to other drugs, and that may explain in part why they go on to heroin or cocaine or something like that. But with regard to adolescents, look, of course, I'm worried about that as well. I think any responsible doctor, any responsible parent, anybody would be worried about that. I don't want kids taking this stuff. I don't want anybody whose brain hasn't fully developed, which usually is the mid-20s, taking this stuff. That's not about this. But the trade-off shouldn't be, because of those concerns, we will then deny people therapy that may be the only therapy that works for them. I don't think that's the trade-off. And I don't think even Nora Volkow, who's the head of NIDA, would think that that would be a good idea.